Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk About, the show where I ramble on about various video game topics. And today's subject is the launch of Street Fighter V. Now, just in case you didn't know, the launch date of Street Fighter V's online multiplayer was a bit rocky, to say the least. I actually wasn't able to get into any online matches after I went to the midnight release of the game, which is unfortunate, but thankfully you don't have to be online to play the single-player portions of the game, unlike some multiplayer games that have come out in the past few years. So that was a good feature to have. Unfortunately, the disconnects and stuff kind of continued over the next few days. So I wanted to do an apology, because in my most recent video, my 5 reasons to be excited for Street Fighter V, I almost guaranteed that Street Fighter V was going to have a rock-solid launch. And I'm definitely the first to admit I am wrong. I always hope for the best in pretty much everything. And I was hopeful that, considering all the beta testing that Street Fighter V had, that the launch would be silky smooth, but unfortunately it wasn't. But what are you gonna do? It's stuff like that happens. And unfortunately, it does get people riled up a bit. I know I saw quite a few comments online about people who were uber upset about not being able to play online matches. And for that, I want to say that I think, despite the frustration we feel about not being able to play this game we just bought, I always feel bad when people aren't respectful to the developers and publishers, because yes, the game has issues at launch, but it's not the end of the world, so you don't have to go freak out about it. And in a game like Street Fighter, I guess that gives you ample time to just try to piece together your combos and tutorial or the survival mode and really get to know the characters you want to play. So yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm waving my finger at anybody, but I always want people to just be kind and respectful to each other, because we're getting this great game courtesy of Capcom, and while it may not be perfect right out of the gate, it's probably going to grow into something really fun. In fact, as of today, when I've uploaded this episode, the online matches were pretty much silky smooth. I only ran into a couple that were very stuttery, but other than that, it's very rock-solid online gameplay, and even for someone like me who's not particularly good at Street Fighter, it's still a lot of fun to play versus people online. Now, having said I want people to not be so upset about this, on the other side of the coin, I do wish the developers would kind of push for stronger launches in multiplayer games, and pretty much any game in particular, because it seems nowadays, after you purchase a game, you can't start playing it without having to download a several gigabyte update before you can even get into the main features. So I realize it's probably much more complex than we make it out to be, but I kind of sometimes do wish that developers would kind of get that quirk out of the way so people can just jump right into the games they want to play without having too many hiccups. But as I said before, it's nice when a game has single-player features and you don't need to be connected online to play those, because some titles like the ill-fated SimCity that came out a year or two ago, even though it was mostly a single-player game, if you were not connected to the internet, you could not play it, and that is unfortunate design choices, I believe. So thankfully, Street Fighter V was not part of that, so I was able to go through all the different story modes and stuff at launch. And Street Fighter V is one of those games that's going to have continuous support throughout the months and possibly years to come. So while it may not be the magnificent fighter everyone was hoping for, it will become better and better in the months to come. And so even if you don't want to jump into the game right now, if you're at all interested in Street Fighter V, you'd probably definitely worth picking up a month or two after release, because then they'll have all the little kinks worked out completely, and you'll have more new characters and costumes on the way, which actually brings me to one feature I was a little weirded out about. The character shop for costumes and such is actually not open. It does not open until March, so I guess the best thing to do now is stockpile all the fight money you get and just save it up for whatever comes to the shop, because both the shop for costumes and characters doesn't open until March, as does the challenge mode, and I'm not exactly sure what the challenge mode contains, but I'd be interested to see. So both of those features aren't arriving until March, which did surprise me a bit, because Another thing I pointed out in my 5 reasons video was that there's going to be tons of different modes, and yeah, there's still a good amount of modes, but there wasn't as many as I was originally expecting, because I originally said there was an arcade mode, and it turns out there actually isn't, which was I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little disappointed in finding that out. But the survival mode kind of fills that void to an extent. It's not exactly the same, but it's still fun to play survival mode while you're waiting for online matches to pop up. Anywho, I don't want to go too deep into all the features of the game, because I want to save that for my review next week. There's more stuff to come, obviously, so Street Fighter V may not be the game everyone was hoping for at the moment, but I am very, very hopeful that it's going to be one of the best fighters around in just a month or two, because even now, playing today before I uploaded, the matches I had were loads of fun. Even though I didn't win a majority of them, they were loads of fun. So it'll be really interesting to see where Capcom takes the game from here. So Street Fighter V had a little bit of a rocky start, but it's a very enjoyable game, and I can't wait to keep playing it, because it's just so much fun to learn all the new characters and moves and mechanics. So what were your thoughts on Street Fighter V's launch? Were you really upset you weren't able to dive into the multiplayer stuff as much, or were you content in diving through all the single-player options? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. Until next time, keep having great adventures, everyone!